Hello and welcome to another timeless video. Today we're checking out Blue-Black Reanimator, which has gotten a few nice upgrades with the release of Avatar. Now every blue deck in the format has access to Force of Negation as possibly a free counter spell. As long as it's not our turn, we get to pitch a blue card from our hand to cast it for free. Otherwise 3 mana to counter a non-creature spell. So of course not quite as flexible as Force of Will will ever be, since this one is limited to casting it in the opponent's turn for free and also only counters non-creature spells, but still a nice addition to the format that can maybe prevent you from getting combo killed on turn 1. And then besides Force of Will, we now also have access to Entomb, a 1-mana instant, lets us search our library for any card and put it straight into our graveyard. So of course Entomb best friends with Reanimate, as we can search up a large creature, put it into the graveyard, and then for 1 mana reanimate it back by paying a life equal to its mana value. So usually Entomb is looking for the one of Atraxa or Griselbrand, both 7/7 flying life linkers. Griselbrand can pay 7 life to draw 7 cards, and then Atraxa has some other keywords and provides immediate value when she enters the battlefield, so maybe if we don't have quite as much life to work with, we prefer going for Atraxa, but both are very powerful. We do not have access to Archon of Cruelty on Arena yet, even though it has been implemented through the Arena Cube, so I do expect it to be added into Timeless at some point in the future, but for now we'll have to do with Atraxa and Griselbrand. And then by reanimating these curve toppers, we can also draw into some more free interaction. Besides Force of Negation, there's also Grief, which we can evoke by pitching a black card from our hand, and then make the opponent discard a non-land card of our choice. And Grief is also very synergistic with Reanimate, as we can potentially evoke it and then reanimate it on turn 1 to essentially grief the opponent twice, so that's another common play pattern. And then besides Grief, we also have Thoughtseize as another discard spell to try and shred away the opponent's game plan and also prevent the opponent from potentially interacting with our own reanimation synergies. And then our other creature that we'll often get back is the Troll of Khazad-dûm, as it has built-in swamp cycling, so we don't need another discard spell or entomb to get it into the graveyard. We just draw into it, cycle it away, get a swamp, can even be some of our dual lands, and then we can maybe reanimate this 6/5 that cannot be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. The Troll also just helps us fix our mana. And the Troll is also the reason why we have such a low land count, because the cycling makes up for it. And then Psychic Frog ties everything together beautifully as a blue and black card, so we can pitch it to both Force of Negation and a Grief. And then it's also a discard outlet, can discard a card at any point to give it an extra +1/+1 counter. So if we have a Griselbrand or a Atraxa stuck in hand, we can discard them to the Frog. Maybe we draw some of our discard spells later in the game and the opponent's already empty-handed. The Frog can still make a good use of them. Can also exile 3 cards from our graveyard to give the Frog flying until end of turn, and that will maybe help us connect, because whenever the Frog deals damage to the opponent, we now also get to draw a card. And then we also have 2 copies of Life Death as just another reanimation effect. The Death half is just a worse version of Reanimate, as it's 2 mana and is also limited to reanimating creatures in our own graveyard, whereas Reanimate can occasionally bring back cards in the opponent's graveyard as well. And then to speed up the deck and maybe set up a turn 1 reanimation spell with Entomb, we're also running the full set of Dark Ritual. Past turn 1 and 2, it does drop off in value, but then we can still maybe shuffle it away with some of our cantrips, or perhaps discard it to a Psychic Frog, or pitch it to a Grief. So it's still a relatively low opportunity cost to include, and it does have potential in our opening hand, of course. And then we've got some blue cantrips, the full set of Ponder and Brainstorm, and these are especially powerful with all the shuffle effects that are built into the deck, with our fetch lands and the mana base, as well as Entomb and even the Troll offering another shuffle effect that we can combine with Brainstorm to get rid of some unwanted cards and hopefully draw into some more relevant cards instead. And then the mana base has plenty of fetch lands, still playing 4 copies of Polluted Delta, of course, since it can get both of our basic lands, but there is a drawback to having a lot of the same fetch lands now that Pithing Needle sees play in the Dark Depths decks, so a Pithing Needle naming a fetch land can shut it down, so that's why we have 1 of each of the other fetch lands throughout, so we don't get punished by a Pithing Needle as much, and those can get 4 off a Watery Grave, which we can also get with a Troll, same with the Undercity Sewers, letting us surveil 1 when it enters tapped, effect, and then one of each basic land. And then a Sink into Stupor can be a blue card we can pitch to Force of Negation, can be an untapped land at the cost of 3 life, or we can cast it as a 3 mana instant to bounce an opposing non-land permanent. Can also be a decent answer to Maritalage out of the Dark Depths decks, or can maybe answer an opposing Graveyard Hate card that's slowing us down, so it does have its moments there as well. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw. Got a triple Psychic Frog opener, but no interaction. No thing to really benefit from life-death either. This one's rough. On the play, I can maybe keep this, but on the draw, we'll need some interaction. Right, now we've got Force blue card. So I can try. Opponent gets Swamp. And Inquisition, yeah, I think I gotta force that, but doesn't leave me with much. If I let them cast Inquisition, they probably take Psychic Frog. Maybe that's okay, and then I just dig for my Reanimation combo. Because yeah, if there's some sort of mono-black deck, they'll probably have removal for Psychic Frog anyways. If they're a combo, they might take the Force. Actually takes a Ponder. Okay. Can get a Surveil land end of turn to play around Strip Mine, perhaps. As opposed to playing tapped Watery Grave. So now if I do play Frog, I don't have Force blue card anymore. If they have Fatal Push, they can always push in my turn, and then I cannot force back. So we'll see. Don't need another fetch land. And a Thoughtseize. I should probably start there. Could see an Orcish Bowmasters in response. Or maybe their own Brainstorm. Yep, so they get to hide maybe some of their combo pieces. They did have Fatal Push, double Brazen Borrower. Wow. Yeah, Borrower's a problem if we want to try to reanimate anything. I mean, Fatal Push just means I'm not playing the Frog. I keep it for Force. Barrogoyf is the biggest threat. Maybe I do still take Barrogoyf, and then I hope to get rid of Brazen Borrower with either Force or find more discard spells before I reanimate. Because Barrogoyf is going to be hitting pretty hard in the meantime here. If they kept a land on top, which they didn't, but... Okay, so... Still not going to play the Frog when they have double Fatal Push. Yeah, my hand's not very good. I'll play Polluted Delta, but I don't want to fetch in case I draw Brainstorm. Troll. I can Swamp Cycle, so I have a target for Reanimates. But yeah, with double Brazen Borrower, I'm not in a hurry. So our opponent's missing line drops. That's the one thing we have in spades. I guess I can hardcast Force if needed. Opponent discarding Fatal Push to hand size. As we draw another Psychic Frog. I think I still wait for more discard spells before I deploy them. Discards another Fatal Push. Maybe they drew another one in the meantime. Or I can test out the waters with a Frog. Sure. Keep Force up. So they do appear like more of a blue-black mid-range deck than any sort of combo deck. So sure, let's fight over it. Just need one of my Frogs to survive. Fatal push number 4 finds its target. And now Thoughtseize. Opponent does have their own force, Kaito, and Baragoyf. That's a hand. So what's the most problematic card here? I don't think it's Force, because I can just play Psychic Frog. I think it's Baragoyf, actually, because that can outrace the Psychic Frog. Of course, I can bounce Frog end of turn. So we're going to be here a while, but eventually Frog can get in the way of a Brazen Borrower. If they draw land, they could hardcast Kaito, that could be bad too. And a full playset of Dark Ritual is not doing anything here. It's just discard fodder for the Frog eventually. Yeah, they might actually just cast Brazen Borrower, but if they try and attack, I can give the Frog flying and block. And then they can maybe bounce with the other Borrower instead of going for the ninjutsu. So there's layers to this. They're just gonna bounce. That's fine. So now reanimating an Atraxa is a bit more appealing. But there's also a force to fight through. I guess we can hardcast a Griselbrand. But I'll take another Frog for now. Yeah, Timeless is a weird format. Sometimes you die on turn 1, sometimes it's turn 10, and no one's attacked anyone yet. Bowmasters is a good one against me. And a Tamio. Our opponent's got plays.
Oh, how am I supposed to focus on only one project?
Another Frog is excellent. So time to start attacking, I think. Do I give any of them flying? Nah, if they want to jump, that's fine. The only drawback of attacking is that they're going to be able to maybe set up ninjutsu more easily. Tamio thrown under the bus. Maybe they have another Borrower in hand, who knows. We know they're out of fatal pushes. Time you down. And how about another Frog? That's the last one for us. They had another Bowmasters. All 2 of those punish the card draw from Frog. I'll save this one. So I'm not sure how to navigate this game yet. Opponent can now also finally ninjutsu Kaito, picking up a Bowmasters. At least if I attack Kaito with my Frog, I don't trigger Bowmasters, since we wouldn't get to draw. Or never mind, player or Planeswalker draw a card. So that's different. So your opponent can either pick up the token or the Bowmasters. Goes for the token. Well, at least now there's only 1 Bowmasters to worry about. Opponent's down to just a force without a blue card. So if we top deck Reanimates, we could cast it, although I'm not sure what we're going for at this point. Entomb not quite as good. So, finish off Kaito. Do I leave a Frog back? I probably have to, so I don't die to the army. And then I don't think I even bother casting the Entomb. Could also leave 2 Frogs back and just grow 1 to finish off Kaito. Although if they end up finding more bounce spells, I might regret going all out on 1 creature. Yeah, let's try this.
hospitality.
And I'll just keep these lands in hand as more discard fodder. So I can no longer reanimate Atraxa. May have to just get a few large attacks in with a large Psychic Frog by giving it flying. I have plenty of stuff in the graveyard for it. Alright, Force is good to have. So I think I just discard 3 cards, make a 6-powered frog. That's a 3-turn clock. This will grow up to a 3/3, but I can have a 3/4 frog on defense. I can also block a Brazen Borrower with a 3/4 flying frog. And I have Force for protection. Although I suppose our opponent could also force back at some point. Could have also attacked first, given it flying, and then discarded. Suppose I can also jump with a Borrower, but that's fine by me. Yeah, the play was probably just fly frog attack, see what they do, and then go all out. Shieldred's Edict. Yeah, I guess I may as well force. Although now if they jump, I guess I don't have a card to discard to the frog, but army would also only be a 2/2, so that's okay. Alright, I think this is a fine outcome. Don't need to Thoughtseize them. They could get very aggressive and send in all their creatures. And then I only have one good block on either Borrower or the army. But they also have to be careful that they don't die to all 3 frogs attacking next turn. So yeah, very interesting game. Another Edict. That's rough. Probably get rid of an untapped frog. 1 unknown in hand. And it was a drown. Wow. Well, did not expect my opponent to top deck 2 more removal spells, but let's see. I guess what I can do is just exile all my cards, and then the frog lives. Although I won't have the ability to give flying anymore. But yeah, it saves me from dying, so I have to. Less than or equal to the number of cards in their graveyard. If I discard 1, yeah, that doesn't make a difference, so... Okay, so the frog lives. Now what? Opponent's still attacking. What's scarier? A Borrower or the army? Probably the Borrower now that I can't give the frogs flying anymore. And draw reanimates. So if I attack, I can put my opponent to 1, so I don't actually force them to jump. But I can attack with a 6/7 frog. Opponent takes it, they fall to 5, I can grow the other frog, I'm at 2. Yeah, I guess that's the play. Opponent takes it. Need to keep reanimate for the other frog, I think. Difference between opponent at 5, opponent at 4 is also not huge. I can do this first. Draw Entomb. That's not getting cast. Okay, pass a turn. And then next turn I have 2 lethal frogs, which they cannot block with a Brazen Borrower. So unless they top decked another Bowmasters here, we should be okay. I guess if they just drew another blocker, that's also pretty good. And now I can potentially fly a frog if needed. Although flying frog means Borrower can block it now. So there's a lot of layers to this. Opponent does not attack. I'll take my turn. And draw Grief. That's going to be pretty good here. So I can cast a Grief for starters. See what's up. And then reassess. Opponent's going to Borrower in response. That's fine. And a Force. So if I attack with my 2 frogs, what happens? Borrower cannot block, so they have to just jump with the Bowmasters. But then I die to the Borrower on the way back. So I have to keep 1 frog back. Doesn't matter which one. I can make both 5 powered. I guess we get in with a bigger one. Yeah, I don't have enough cards in graveyard to give both flying, otherwise we would have lethal. So I can only get in with 1. I guess I can force them to block with the Borrower. Is that maybe better if I do give it flying? Not actually sure. Yeah, maybe I should get in with a smaller frog, actually. Bowmaster chumps. So now what happens is I'll have to chump the army with Grief, but I can still block Brazen Borrower. Nothing else I want to reanimate here. Alright, it's close. Could still die to removal. And Borrower attacks. Have to discard, give it flying, so maybe... Well, I guess I can still discard here. Probably should have spread them out a little bit more evenly. Block. Okay, that works. Opponent's got a land, so we should have it. Wow, what a game. But yeah, that's Timeless for you. Not every game ends on turn 0. Some games are actually super interesting. Okay, we're on the play. We have Entomb, no reanimation spell. Only have a tap land. Yeah, this feels too slow. Opponent's got a Lurrus as companion here. So maybe an energy deck of some variety. Alright, we have Entomb reanimates with Grief as interaction. And then I probably want Atraxa in the deck as an option for Entomb. And then for now just Grief, pitch Troll. Could also, of course, cycle Troll, reanimate it, but when we have Entomb, I think we can do better. Try and take away an opposing discard spell. Alright, so it is Energy, Double Peddler, Raptor, Guide of Souls. They also have a Strip Mine. Strip Mine doesn't really slow me down, and I'm actually happy if they fire it off, so I'll take the Guide of Souls to kind of further incentivize them to do so. Can Entomb at instant speed. And then Atraxa versus Griselbrand is now the question. Atraxa provides immediate value, doesn't cost me more life. The removal could be Swords to Plowshares, there's also Static Prison in the energy decks. Griselbrand could immediately draw, maybe find another discard effect, that's the upside. But I guess Atraxa could find one too. Let's go for Atraxa, it's a close one. Alright, I can reanimate twice if I'd like. Maybe start with reanimate on Grief and then reanimate Atraxa. Won't have a ton of life left to work with, admittedly. Yeah, let's maybe try it. If they have a Swords to Plowshares in hand, this might work out better. Tapped Godless Shrine. And another Amped Raptor. Those are certainly scarier than the Peddler, even though Peddler can take away a card I find with Atraxa's ETB effect now. That's where Griselbrands may be more useful, since we can just not draw until after the opponent casts the Peddler. So I can go Force, and yeah, turn 2 Atraxa's just too much for them to handle. Okay, we're on the play. We have a keepable hand for sure. Sequencing is another question. Probably wanna Grief, maybe pitching Dark Ritual, since I'm not really gonna use it. And then try and set up a turn 2 Frog that's gonna be better protected. Keep the Ponder. And then I get to Swamp Cycle the Troll as well if I'd like. Let's start here. Opponent on a black deck as well. They've got their own Grief. So Voidwalker is going to be a problem, because that stops my reanimation plan. With Chromox I could play turn 1 already. I mean, maybe I still just take the Grief. And then I do have Psychic Frog as a fine card even without the reanimation plan. And by taking their Grief they don't necessarily know it's coming. Sure. And then I don't necessarily want to play Fetch Land to enable Deathrite either. But if they have the Soul Read, they could play a turn 1 Voidwalker, but yeah, Deathrite makes sense. Also, of course, good against our reanimation plan, since it can exile stuff from our graveyard. So we're pretty much just all in on this Psychic Frog winning us the game somehow. Yeah, Entomb is a little late to the party. I mean, there's still a chance the Deathrite will tap at some points. And then we can still sneak in the Entomb. Maybe I should have given them the Fetch Land just to tempt them into ramping out Shieldred. But it looks like they are gonna do fine without us with Ancient Tomb now. So Voidwalker's gone. Ramp out Shieldreds, and yeah, Shieldreds... Oh, never mind. The One Ring instead. So Deathrite can no longer exile creatures from my graveyard. I guess they're also unlikely to have green mana for that ability. Psychic Frog only draws if it deals damage, so the One Ring will prevent that. But now I've got a window where I can maybe Ponder into a Reanimate and set up Entomb. So yeah, we'll start with a Ponder. And Grief doesn't work here, so this is a shuffle. Draw Fetch Land. So if I Ponder again, it doesn't really accomplish much, because I wouldn't be able to set up the Entomb anymore. So yeah, just gotta pass. Opponent does have One Ring plus Shieldred, so that's a powerful engine. Strip Mine enables Deathrite Shaman. One Ring draws. They haven't played Shieldred yet, maybe afraid of a counterspell, and they're looking for discard first. There's Shieldreds. Resolves. Let's Entomb. Probably have to go for Atraxa, because Griselbrand gets punished by Shieldreds. Get my Surveil Land. Yeah, I don't know if Atraxa is going to be good enough against our opponent's One Ring Shieldred engine. Still have to find the Reanimate as well. Alright, there it is. So let's reanimate Atraxa and hope for the best. That works. I'm at 8. Alright, so in terms of sorcery, Do we want Reanimate? Do we want Thoughtseize? Reanimate can get back a Grief as well, so that might be better. Then land, instant, creature, probably another frog. And then I can still play the frog, or I can reanimate back. Troll is gonna kill me, so it would have to be Grief. I lose 4, I'm at 4, get drained to 2. I guess I just play a frog here. Could also attack and basically offer the trade for Shieldred. If I connect, I lose another 2. Yeah, I guess we can try attacking. And maybe I should just fly. Because if they block with Shieldred, I would have to give up on a lot of stuff. Brainstorm's not getting cast with Shieldred out. So I'll just fetch a basic. Hoping Atraxa can block Shieldreds. And Force can protect Atraxa if they were to remove it somehow. Opponent keeps on drawing, because why not? And a Grief. That one I cannot force. I could just discard my entire hand to the Psychic Frogs, to be fair. Which may not be a terrible play. Or at least non-land cards. Now if they have removal for Atraxa, I'll be pretty sad, because the way I put the counters on Frog, I would have to chump. Which was maybe a reason to leave the untapped Frog with an extra counter. Opponent's got another Deathrite, so yeah, getting drained to death is certainly a concern. Times 3, alright. Now the big question, does Shieldred attack? It may not. Alright, opponent's gonna pass. Take my draw. So opponent's at 17. Can certainly give the frogs flying. They can activate the One Ring to gain life with Shieldred in response to losing life to the One Ring, so they don't die. But yeah, I think I still fly my frogs, or at least one of them. Hit you for 11, gain 7, and then still have a frog back on defense. I think that makes sense. Can make this large enough to trade for Shieldred if needed. And draw another land, so no need to play those out. Their opponent's gonna draw. Gain a bunch more life. I guess they can activate Deathrite 3 times to try and get rid of instants and sorceries, but in response I can exile them with a frog. I guess we'll use this one. So they are targeting Entomb. So we don't get drained, otherwise they could have had lethal with Deathrite and Shieldred. So now I could lose 2, conceivably. So I leave enough stuff in my graveyard to still fly both frogs next turn. Strip mine's fine. And our opponent concedes, alright, so very close game here, very thin margins, but we got it done. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand's incredibly awkward with both our reanimation targets and Entomb in hand, no Psychic Frog to discard them. Yeah, we can take a mulligan. This one's better, but we're lacking disruption, no discard spells or counters. On the draw, that's not going to bode well, but don't really want to go to 5 either. One ritual can go. Opponent starting with the Mox. And Demonic Tutor, so it looks like more of a combo deck if they have Strike It Rich in there too. And maybe they're Storming. Bobble definitely points towards kind of a Dragon Rage Channeler deck. Drew Griselbrand, I have the frog to discard it at least. So for now I can either Watery Grave with a plan of Brainstorm or Delta, get a Survey land end of turn. Let's try that approach. Also a bit better in the face of a potential Strip Mine. Opponent's fetching. If they fire off a discard spell, I could still Brainstorm. But I have double Psychic Frogs, so that's less appealing. So get a Sewers. And then we're looking for Reanimate, and we found it. Play Psychic Frog. Could even go Dark Ritual, play Psychic Frog, and immediately Reanimate. I don't actually hate that. It's a bit more explosive. Alright, I've already hit my land drop. I could still activate Griselbrand now, go to 2, but that's a little risky if our opponent's got a Lightning Bolt. So I'll just pass. So yeah, turn to Griselbrand. Can always draw to try and find a Force of Negation if our opponent's about to combo. Necro, they have a red up, so the concern of a Lightning Bolt is still real, but if I can Force of Negation this, we would be super far ahead. Let's try it. Alright, found the Force. Pitching probably the Sink. Take my turn, go to attackers, can discard a bunch of cards to the frog. And our opponent's gonna just scoop it up here. Yeah, after we connect, we gain 7, we could draw 7 more if we'd like. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We have a reasonable hand, does start slow with tapped Sewers. And then I guess I don't have an actual reanimation effect yet. Yeah, maybe this is actually still a mulligan. Alright, this one is certainly a keeper. So I have Entomb, Reanimate. Thoughtseize for interaction, probably don't need 2 of them. Could also cycle Troll, so we've got a few options. Opponent's fast out of the gate with Chromox. Pitching Grief. Maybe Mono Black. Alright, opponent's got their own Grief. So probably has to take the Reanimate here. They might have their own Reanimate to do it twice. So Reanimate's gone, and our opponent can maybe save the Grief with some other effect, Sacrifice, just to make 4 mana. Alright, and Entomb, okay. Is our last card reanimate? Balustrade Spying Graveyard, are we gonna lose on turn 1 here? It looks like it. Alright, well, there's not much I could have done about this, sadly. Guess I needed that Force of Negation plus blue card. His opponent mills Creeping Chill. And then they'll get back Silver Smote Ghoul ×4, which in turn gets back Prize Amalgam. Yeah, I guess even if I had the Force of Negation, there's nothing I could have done about the grief. Yeah, I seem pretty dead. Maybe if I had Dark Ritual, can set up my own reanimates, but yeah, with 8 life, that's not enough to get back any of my curve toppers. And our opponent's got enough stuff to win regardless, so GG's. Virtually a turn 1 win. And lethal on turn 2. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We have Troll plus Life Death as well as Entomb to set up Life Death with Force backup. I do need Troll to get another land, so I can't pitch it to Grief. Young Wolf, I see, so maybe an Undying combo deck. Well, I can now Grief pitching Grief. The only issue here is Life Death is 2 mana, so if I have to Swamp Cycle to hit my land drop, I wouldn't be able to Life Death on turn 2 after Entombing. But maybe I just get back the Troll, and that's good enough. Let's start by having a look. So it is Samwise, Badger Mole Cub, Birthing Ritual. Probably take the Ritual here, which can dig towards their other combo pieces. And then, I mean, Force of Negation also could have hit Birthing Ritual, of course. Now I think I do go for Troll. Still have Force in case they top decked another Ritual. And they actually did. So I'm glad I took the first one. I guess we'll wait for them to attack. And get probably just Surveil land, because unless I top deck Reanimate, I wouldn't be able to Life Death anyway, so may as well get the extra card selection. Entomb first and then Surveil. Ooh, never mind. I guess I get to combo this turn anyways. And then do we want Griselbrand or Atraxa? Kind of feeling Griselbrand on this one. And then should be fine to draw here. Could still Ritual something out, but we don't have any life to work with, and never mind, our opponent scoops it up. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have Troll Reanimate with Force backup, so that seems good enough. We'll have to use Flooded Strand since Sewers enters tapped. I mean, I guess I could still just set up the combo turn 2, since we'll get a Swamp, which will then cast a Reanimate. But starting with a fetch also lets me maybe keep a Brainstorm to hide Reanimate from a discard spell, if I don't feel the need to force. Opponent's got their own fetch. Opponent fetches in response. We might get stifled here. Just a tapped Hedge Maze. And then let's go Watery Grave, Cycle Troll, I think. Can just get basic Swamp. Alright, so could bring back a troll. Can just use life death, I guess. Or I can reanimate, play tapped sewers. I won't have a ton of life to work with once I get back the troll to set up another reanimation spell, but I could maybe still fire another off. So yeah, let's go with death. Can also use a Surveil in combination with Brainstorm to get rid of a card I don't want. Our opponent does have double blue up, so mana drain's a concern. Start by attacking. Entomb could let me entomb an Atraxa or Griselbrand and then reanimate it still. So that's an option. Can of course entomb at instant speed. Yeah, but they have a mana drain up. I wouldn't necessarily want to go for reanimate now, although if they counter, at least I don't lose the life. We still have a troll in play, so it's not all that bad. Yeah, I guess I'll try it here. Keep Brainstorm blue card. Does our opponent fight over it? They do. They're just going to mana drain the Entomb. Alright, that's probably better for me, because now I could still Swamp Cycle Troll, reanimate that. Get a Watery Grave. I am at 3, but yeah, opponent doesn't seem like a burn deck. Got double troll with force backup. Definitely worth countering here. If they have another show and tell next turn, I could still die, but nope, double troll gets it done. So we get to see this blue-black Reanimator deck in action, and it's funny how we can sometimes win on turn 1 with a reanimated Griselbrand or Atraxa, pretty much locking things up, but sometimes we have to go the distance with Psychic Frog instead, so it's nice that we still have that angle available at least. And yeah, the free interaction from Force of Negation is a huge addition to the format, so that will improve our matchup against opposing combo decks that can otherwise maybe even win on turn 1. And then of course we still have a ton of discard spells to help out against other combo and control strategies. We will sometimes be weak to aggro if we don't get to reanimate one of our big life linkers right away, so those can be kind of tough, but otherwise I feel like this deck has a pretty good chance in pretty much every matchup, and it's just about drawing the right cards at the right time. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.